Okay, welcome everybody. The few, the proud, the strong, to today's webinar, Empowering Transitions, New Supports, and How You Can Help Your Colleagues Thrive. One of the great things about working here at OMA and working with this group of people is how they like to look after one another. So I'm going to be talking about how we can do that, as well as some new supports that OMA's just released out into the marketplace, and a couple of other things that we have ongoing that can also help either you if you're undergoing transition or someone you know who may be undergoing transition. Okay, just bear with me for a second. Here we go. So, a little bit of background. It was identified that our member in transition supports should probably be looked at with a critical eye last year. So we started a member in transition working group in fall, and they met a couple of times. They conducted a market review of what other sister associations and similar associations offer their members. They spoke to a lot of MITs, both current and former. People have transitioned back into the workplace, and they reported back into the board. The board reviewed those recommendations when it met in January, and they approved those recommendations. So I wanted to thank the members of that working group that you see here on the right-hand side. Really great, dedicated group of folks, many of whom have experienced transition in their career. So they have firsthand knowledge and a lot of empathy for people undergoing that process. And the group came up with a number of recommendations that were really, really helpful. But beyond that, they're also continuing on to provide ongoing support for people who've been transitioned as a type of peer counseling group. So they reach out to people, they ask them what kind of supports they're looking for, if any. But more importantly, perhaps than any of that, is just an empathetic ear so people that are undergoing that situation can have someone knowledgeable about to talk to. On our website, we have a section for different stages of your career. And one of those sections is for MITs, members in transition. And there's the URL there on the left. There's more detail on the website, but in a nutshell, here are the new services that we provide for members undergoing a transition. So if you've been transitioned, you get a free membership for a year, which is tied to you personally and not your former employer. You are able to take advantage of one free workshop registration, either in spring or fall, up to you. You can access the mentorship matchup program, which I'll show you in more detail after this slide. There's the peer support work group that I mentioned earlier. We're also piloting an outplacement services program that is a fantastic resource. And for those folks who don't already have a provision to provide outplacement services in their contract, this is a valuable resource for them. We're really happy to launch a new guidebook as of today, essentially, which is called Bridge the Gap. I'll show you some highlights of that guidebook. It's now available in the library once you log in as a member, and we have printed copies as well that you can pick up at one of our workshops. And finally, I think the working group was really wise in suggesting that, resilience is something not just people that are undergoing transition need to be concerned about, but everybody in this job. It can be a very difficult job. There are certain challenges that one could benefit from having a better sense of building their own personal resilience. So we're going to include that in workshops going forward, starting with the first one immediately in spring. We have a session from a resilience coach as part of our plenary on Thursday morning. So here's the mentorship matchup. If you're not participating in this program, check it out. It's simple to use. We have 25 mentors that have signed up this year. many of whom were participating last year as well. And you can take a look at their area of expertise, see what sessions they have available. They'll have generally 5 sessions available. Once you click on their photo, you'll see those times and dates and times. And you can reach out to them to book a meeting. And we call it a mentorship program. But, there's kind of two strains of mentorship. One is the traditional ongoing mentorship where, you have a mentor and a mentee, and they meet from time to time over an extended period of time. And there's a second model, which is less onerous, less daunting, I suppose, for those just dipping their toes in the water as well, which is where you can reach out to a mentor and just have a simple, 1 hour meeting. It might be a very specific thing that you want to talk about. So for those folks undergoing transition, this is also a great resource, not just to talk about the transition process, but to talk about reentry into the workplace. And I suggest you take a look at it. There's the URL at the bottom of the slide. There's also a couple links on our website in different places. And keep in mind, it's a third-party website. It's not the OMA website, so it may not have your email preloaded into the system. If you try to log in and it doesn't detect your email, just send me an email at scott@omaa.on.ca, and I will add you to the list. And it's a very simple process of signing up and joining thereafter. Forward on our outplacement service. We conducted an RFQ. We invited, I believe it was 6, if memory serves me correctly, 6 firms to respond to the RFQ, which asked for their areas of expertise, what kind of services they provided, as well as what kind of direct experience with municipal CEOs and aspiring CEOs that the firms have. We had a great response. It was actually very tough to decide, but we ended up going with Feldman Daxon. And we have developed a pilot project in which we are offering a 3-month career transition program up until our allocated budget that the board has allocated to this project. As of right now, we have 1 member in transition undergoing the program, and that MIT loves it, says it's great, fantastic resources. So it's encouraging to hear that. I'm not going to go through all of the various services in detail. I'll just go over the highlights here on this slide and the next slide. So it's a 3-month program and includes things like coaching and counseling, assessments and personal inventory. There's career planning. There's marketing. There are weekly job search webinars, which are great. You can participate or not. It's really up to you. And if you miss one, you can log in and access those after the fact. There's help about communication, whether your personal communication, but also your branding and your LinkedIn profile and those types of things. And there's also help with the negotiating a job offer when you're at that stage, as well as if you're thinking about potentially leaving CEO or aspiring CEO employment and maybe starting up your own consultancy or your own small business, they have some supports for those considering those entrepreneurial options. So our idea here again is to provide outplacement services for those that don't already have that provided under their contract. And the sense that we have at this point is that this is probably something we'd like to do going forward. So in future years, depending on the board's endorsement, we may offer this as a subsidized program. Right now, we're covering the full cost up until a certain point. So likely we'll have support for 2 to 3 MITs, depending on the need. Feldman Daxon is great for this particular service because they recruit a lot of CAOs. They're one of the more active recruiters, so they have firsthand knowledge about what the marketplace is looking for. By the way, if anyone has any questions, pop in at any time. We're scheduled for half an hour, but I don't think I'm going to be any longer than 15 to 20 minutes. And I'd certainly like to make this worth your while and make sure that it addresses any questions you might have. And thanks to Darlene for populating the chat. Okay, next resource. This is the Bridge the Gap guidebook. Really happy with how this book turned out. Again, thanks to the member in transition working group that provided a lot of suggestions and information towards the production of this guide. The guide was crafted specifically for members in transition. That said, those aspiring CEOs that are getting ready for an interview will find it quite helpful as well. There are 3 full pages of interview questions and things to think about when preparing for an interview. But the guide also has a lot of other tips. There are checklists for different stages of the process. There are tips for your peers, your partners, your spouses, and more, including things to be on the lookout for if things start to go south in your relationship with mayor and council as well. So as I mentioned, you can pick up this book in print at one of our upcoming workshops, or you can download the PDF in the member library. Here's a deep dive into some of those checklists. So the direction from the MIT working group was that this should be as practical as possible. So with that in mind, the core of the guidebook is a series of checklists under the immediate steps heading. So you'll see things like in the moment. So 6 things to consider as soon as the transition has happened. And oftentimes this happens pretty dramatically without notice. And so it's good to have something like this by your side so you can reference it, especially if you've never undergone it before. It can be, quite startling, if not even a traumatic event. The second one on the right-hand side is in the aftermath. I think there are 15 considerations there that you should consider after that stage. So after you've learned the news, what are the things that you should be doing over the next few days and weeks? In addition to that, there are some things, as I think I mentioned earlier, to consider when you're getting ready to negotiate your contract. There is a checklist for your companion, spouse, partner. There are tips about how to prepare for the job search. And again, there are 3 pages of interview questions that you can reference as well. One thing I wanted to mention as well is we have what we call a good practice contract, what a lot of people call a model contract. It's basically a template contract for CAOs. And how you can access that is once you sign into the website as a member, you go to the CAO library right here. You'll see that there are now 8 sections. One of those sections is called CAO placement guidelines. So you click on that button and it takes you to this page here on the right. There's a placement guideline that OMA did with AMRA a few years back. Keep going down, you'll see some sample CAO contracts. And right here is the link to the PDF good practice contract. So we had some outside legal design this, and we update it from time to time. For example, I just updated it recently in terms of the severance ask, as what we've heard from recruiters in the marketplace. As a result of kind of the turmoil in the marketplace, including some of the strong mayor provisions, is there is more appetite for CEOs and aspiring CEOs for longer severance allocations, and the marketplace is meeting that. So I think we recommend up to 24 months in terms of severance for those experienced CEOs. While we don't recommend any particular law firm, we certainly recommend that you do have a lawyer review any contracts that you're going to sign as a CEO or to review your severance agreement with a municipality. So down here, you'll see that there is a link to the Law Society of Ontario's lawyer directory. And here's just a view of that good practice contract. Excuse me. Pardon me. So some general advice is included here in the guide as well, but I wanted to take a moment to go over it because, again, I think one of the wonderful things about the municipal sector is how supportive we are of our fellow colleagues. And I really, as soon as I joined OMA, that was really made clear to me how important the networking is, the peer support, and how CAOs look after one another. But one of the things, in talking with the working group and some others is there may be some awkwardness about how to reach out to people who have been transitioned. But it encouraged you to move past that awkwardness because reaching out to someone following a termination or a crisis with their employer, the sooner the better, in essence. Colleagues in transition can feel very isolated and they might be wary to reach out to you. But if you could reach out to them, that would mean a tremendous amount. One of the things that is a best practice in having those discussions with people as well is to basically remind them of their value and the things that they have accomplished. Psychologists say that losing a job, especially losing a job suddenly, can be one of the most dramatic, traumatic events in one's life. It sometimes makes people question their self-worth as a professional and even as a person. So to have someone, a peer, a colleague, even someone, an acquaintance in the sector reach out to them and have a conversation with them and to be an empathetic ear is very, very valuable. You see here on the right-hand slide, there are a couple of other ways in which we suggest you might want to support anyone who's going through a transition. One of those is to invite them to a lunch or a meeting. If your partner knows their partner, maybe suggest that those two folks connect as well. And a third is to offer a temporary role or a assignment, a project that you may have not enough capacity locally to tackle. Perhaps you can outsource that to someone undergoing a transition. You know you're getting an experienced person that helps them with both confidence and with their resume, plug any gaps, provide some experience, and who knows, might lead to something down the road as well. There are other tips in the Bridge the Gap guide. I encourage you to take a look at those as well. But just wanted to plant these with you as some food for thought. One of the last things I wanted to talk to you about was circling back to the fact that your OMA membership stays with you. So if you're currently employed and you would undergo transition, we want to, again, make sure that you have OMA membership for at least a year. To enable that, we need to be able to find you. So if you want that to be practical, feasible, an easy way to do that is to add a secondary personal email to your membership profile. And here is a screenshot about how you do that. So essentially, you sign into the website, you click on Profile, My Membership Info. You'll see the big yellow circle there around Change Contact Profile Info. So you click that button, and then you scroll down past your email, which will likely be your work email at this point, and go to the drop not a Dropbox, but the open line under secondary email, drop your email in there, save, and log out. So again, this is just a little bit of added insurance. Should you ever be transitioned, we have a way of keeping in contact with you. So that's it for me. This is my presentation from today. I just wanted to bring those new supports to bear to let people know about it, to launch the Bridge the Gap guide, and very happy to take any questions from anybody who has them.
I don't have any questions, Scott. I just want to say thanks. I think it's really valuable information and helpful to have it kind of at your fingertips. So thanks for going over that info today. Appreciate it.
No problem, Sarah. Thanks for being here. Okay. Doesn't seem like we have any questions, but I'll give 10 more seconds. All right. Thanks everyone for participating. Hope you got something out of it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you at the spring workshop.